There's a huge amount of stigma still in the eating disorder world around addiction. Um, the language that we use in the addiction world today is no longer referring to patients who have the disease as addicts or substance abusers. There's a connotation that comes with abuse and abuser that we have moved away from. But oftentimes we hear this in eating disorder worlds. Well, they have substance abuse, or they're a substance abuser. Um, and patients who have addiction are talked about as if they're out of control, they're scary, they're going to be triggering to the eating disorder patients, they have no willpower, they're weak, they're going to be non-compliant, and we don't want them at our treatment center. It's in substance world, we have tended, and even in the eating disorder world, to use the term anorexic. We now use the term a patient with the disease of anorexia nervosa. The connotation being this is an in-control person, a perfect person, they have strong willpower, it's a strong person, they're going to be compliant, but it's a feigned compliance. And when we look at what's actually rewarding to a person with anorexia, the illusion of control starts to disintegrate. The word toxic is used oftentimes when referring to people, referring to substances, referring to foods. And that's a word that carries huge stigma with it. When we're talking about substances, there's nothing inherently toxic about an opioid. In fact, it's quite useful when we use it medically in the context of surgery. When we talk about food, there's nothing inherently toxic about any food. If I'm a person with a peanut allergy and I ingest peanuts, that may be toxic for me because I'm going to have anaphylaxis and I won't be able to breathe. But the peanut itself isn't toxic. The interaction of that substance with my genotype is a toxic interaction. So I think we need to be careful in the addiction world when we're talking about foods or food substances or sugar, for example, being toxic. And also when we're talking about substances being toxic. There's nothing toxic about alcohol when it's out there. If I pour a liter of it into my body, it's pretty toxic. There's a lot of stigma as well against the term abstinence. In the eating disorder world, that's a term that's heard as a disease behavior that patients with restricting anorexia, that's a symptom of anorexia nervosa. In the addiction world, abstinence refers to a recovery-oriented activity.